Welcome back, esteemed viewer, to part 2. And I don't really have much else to say other than let's get straight into the action. I really like this film, but there's only two things that really get in the way of me loving it. And that's my boy Mads Mikkelsen being reduced to just a 3-scene character. I could be wrong about that, but I'm not going to go to check. And whatever the hell this thing is, and like the boar gullet, I don't get it just kind of felt like it was put in and then forgotten about, Like, oh, it can tell you're lying, but it scrambles your brain. Okay, anything else about that? No? Okay. I love all the dramatic Vader stuff we get in this film. Like, oh, I'm just gonna quickly ask my boss about leadership concerns. And then, he rocks up with his shadow casting over him and just force chokes him, pulls out a one-liner and then keeps going. And then he rocks up and slaughters rebels, watches the ship go away in zero gravity with his cape fluttering in zero gravity because there's no wind in space. So he's just standing there using the force to billow it. It's just that's Vader. I love it. Whilst on the subject of Vader, and I don't know if this is considered a hot take or not, but I'd say Vader is the only character that has, and I'm going to throw in every version of Anakin too, is the only character I have ever felt that is never depicted bad or out of character. Like, as much as I dislike him as a kid, I still feel like, oh, it's Vader as a kid, he's not going to be running around force choking as a kid. In Attack of the Clones, he's a moody teenager, but I feel like that's in line with what he would be. He was raised by essentially monks to repress his emotions, so I feel like he was played correctly then, in Revenge of the Sith, he's like this scared, ultimately, of losing the love of his life. And so he's willing to do whatever it takes to save her, even going as far as to kill children. But, I loved a lot of the characters in this, like Chirrut and Baze, I think is pronounced. I could be very wrong on that, and I do apologize if I'm wrong. I love their kinship, their camaraderie together. It was really cool friendship to see unfold on the screen. I love Jyn Erso. I wish we kind of got more of her, honestly. But I love the ending as it is. I love Saw Gerrera. I think he's an absolute standout, and I love Forrest Whitaker. He's always awesome, and just seeing him as this showing the bad side of the Rebel Alliance is just awesome.
And that will be the least of your problems.
You have no idea where I am.
We know you're on Jeddah, Saw.
And also, you can't mention this film without K2SO and director Krennic. I think K2 is played so well, and it's honestly my favorite droid in Star Wars. I mean, he's funny, but also kind of terrifying to look at, and the banter between him and Andor is amazing. And I haven't seen season 2 of Andor as of writing this yet, so no spoilers, but I know my boy K2 makes an appearance. Krennic is also an amazing character and performance. I love Ben Mendelsohn in any role, plus he's from my home country of Australia. He's literally the only thing that kept me interested during Captain Marvel. But I think he does a really good job of playing that kind of slimy kind of Imperial agent. Well, technically, I'd imagine he's a director. It's in his title, but he's a real good standout. All in all, I really like this film. Actually, I would love it more if I watched the rest of Andor, I think. And I'm really starting to appreciate Andor as a character because I really didn't like him when I first watched Rogue One. But, I've got more of an understanding of his character now, and, that being said, we'll see how what was it, Starfighter, Drive in Space with Ryan Gosling will go in terms of movies. Why the hell is Force Awakens above A New Hope? That's wrong. You're not allowed to do that. Why do you do that? Why do you do it? Why do you do it? Well, esteemed viewer, I will tell you why. Because I can. Real reason though, it's really nostalgic for me because I remember when this came out back in 2015. I saw it with my brother, my father, and my wife, who was my girlfriend of like a few months at that point. And we all went to the midnight screening of it at my local theatre. And it was such a good experience because it was all, everyone, like a bunch of people were dressed up. Every cinema was full. Like they rented out all of them for the one movie. It was so fun. There was like the theater did this weird thing where they had like all these like meme videos of like Star Wars beforehand. Like I don't know, it is maybe going back a little bit for the newer generation, but back in the day we had Shia LaBeouf saying "Do it," and it was literally just the scene of Palpatine telling Anakin to do it. And there's Shia LaBeouf saying, "Don't let your dreams be dreams." It was literally just those types of videos on a massive screen. It was hilarious, and it was just a good movie in my opinion. I mean, sure, it's just A New Hope retold, absolutely, but I don't know. It's just there's something special about this film. I like it. I think my favorite part of the movie is that we are introduced to my favorite character of the entire sequel trilogy, Kylo Ren slash Ben Solo. I always found it interesting that he prays to the Vader mask, like it's a powerful relic to help pull himself from the light side. I like that he's not just a bad guy, but he's trying to resist going back to being a good guy. And I love that fact. Usually it's the other way around. Like, oh, I feel the temptations of the dark or whatever. Now this guy's like, now I'm feeling tempted to be a good person. Help me, Vader. And I like that they make him this just irredeemable arsehole by making him kill his own father, Han. I remember my dad next to me watching Han die. Han was my dad's favorite character. And he's like, "No! You can't kill Han! Mother!" I won't say what he said, of course, but Hux is also cool. Before they clowned on him for the rest of this series.
Excellent. I'll take it in my chambers.
General Hux.
Ah, good. Supremely...
I thought the storyline of Finn was interesting, and unlike others, I think he's more of an interesting character, where he's just a stormtrooper that's turned to the rebels. I don't think every character needs to be down with the Force to be cool. I mean, that's why we find certain characters cool in the Star Wars universe when it's disconnected from all the Force and whatnot, like Andor, you got like Han Solo, you got Boba Fett, you got Chewbacca, you got Lando. These are awesome characters that don't have the Force. You don't need the Force to be cool. Sabine. I even think Rey, for the most part, was an interesting character in this, or at least had the makings of an interesting character in this film. Like I will hate the sequel trilogy until I'm cold and dead in the grave. But I do think some credit needs to be given. I mean, her entire intro at the start of her just scavenging, then seeing how she lives, how she eats, her putting on the rebel helmet, the scratching of the numbers on the wall, it all paints a picture and there's no dialogue. I don't know why they decided to make her smarter than Han when it comes to the Falcon. I mean, I feel like if they worked together, that would have been less like, oh, I'm better than you. But, whatever. All the legacy characters kind of push aside in these new films, but, whatever. I like Poe as well. He's cool. I wish he had a bit of a bigger role in this film. He just feels a little, oh, we're at the start. Here he is, and oh no, he's dead. Oh, but he actually survived. Just so you know. Phasma, she's cool too. I wish they didn't take it literally when we said, oh, she's the new Boba Fett, and yeah, just little screen time as always with the cool characters. It's always cool to see Han and Chewie back. Look, I'm just gonna come in swinging hard on this film. It's cheesy, it's cringy, it's weird, it's ridiculous, and I love it. And everyone will say, "Oh, sand, you don't like sand. You're rubbing everything gets everywhere." Well, yeah, Anakin was brought up on as a slave on a desert planet. I wouldn't like sand either. Oh, we can't talk to women? Yeah, he's a monk taught to repress his feelings. He doesn't talk to girls. Pardon the language, he's bitchless. Oh, he commits murder on women and children. Okay, that one's warranted. But it's okay, because Book of Boba Fett just showed us that they're just wacky little fellas. They didn't mean to be torturers. I love the way Anakin's portrayed as this, like, moody teenager that he never grows out of. But I feel like that's on brand for a young Darth Vader. Like, no one expects Darth Vader to just grow up and always be like that. Everyone has a cringy phase in their life, and this was his. And, growing up, this is probably the one I've watched the most of, this movie. This is the movie I've seen the most in the Star Wars universe. I loved it as a kid. And growing up a lot, I kind of fell into that camp of, oh, I hate it now, actually. It's crap, it's terrible, ugh. You got everyone on YouTube telling you it's terrible. You got everyone in real life telling you it's terrible. I rewatched it a couple of years back and I realized it's actually still pretty good. Like I can see why people say it's terrible, absolutely, but I still like it. It's a guilty pleasure movie, if I do say so myself. And don't let anyone ever influence your own opinion. Make your own. In fact, I'd say you think this is one of the best Star Wars films ever made. I'd say you think it's overhated. Yeah, yeah, isn't it cool now? It's pretty cool. Don't let anyone ever influence your own opinion. I know it's a little bit out of place and stupid, but I love the diner. I can't explain what it is, I just think it's funny and just a good addition. I love the cheesy car chase after Zam Wessel before Django shows up and shoots his snitches get stitches dart. I love the death stick scene.
Hey, you want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and kill yourself.
I want to go home and kill myself.
I love Camino. Of course, the father of my favorite character, Django. What a character. My boy Tamara Morrison is just the coolest guy. I'm so glad he's getting brought back still to do the voice of Boba in, like, games. And hopefully, while we're on the subject, where's Book of Boba Fett Season 2? And look, even if you hate this film, I think we can all collectively agree that Ewan McGregor is awesome in this film.
Let's split up.
I'm your wingman.
Your game is weak.
I mean, just top notch. And also, come on, Padme as well. I think Natalie Portman does a great job in this film. How cool is the arena scene? Everyone loves that. Dooku, he's awesome. I love that we see more of him in Clone Wars. I love that we see Yoda fight for a bit. I know it's a little bit weird seeing that little green thing jump around like that, but I mean, come on, it's more realistic than watching the guys in The Mandalorian throw a baby Yoda doll around and expect us to believe it's moving. And let's get some W's in the chat. Some big dubs. Jar Jar isn't in this one as much.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
I know it's a bit of a strange move to put this movie at number 3 instead of number 1, but bear with me. I love so much about this film, but I think the best part of this is, and I dare someone to disagree with me, is the music. It's just banger after banger. Anakin's Dark Deeds, banger. The Battle of Heroes, banger. Grievous speaks to Darth Sidious, come on. It's perfect. It's all perfect. I would argue this is the best overall soundtrack in Star Wars history. It's just so iconic and dramatic. When I was a boy, my father took me to see this film. And I remember very vividly my father laughing when Anakin shows up and the younglings ask him, "There's too many of them, what are we going to do?" And as soon as he ignites his lightsaber, I remember hearing my dad in the movie theater. Jesus Christ, man. And it's even funny because I remember showing my mother the scene of Anakin as he's burning alive, and her just saying, "Oh, that's awful. Why doesn't Obi-Wan just kill him, put him out of his misery? That's awful. I hate that." There's just so many scenes that just feel so like poetically awesome as well. And what do I mean by that? Allow me to explain. The scene where Anakin and Padme are both looking out different windows, and you get the sense that they're kind of connecting and like they feel each other. And Anakin starts crying. It's just so well acted, so different to the rest of the movie. It's just got this entire tone shift, and I love that scene. Uh, Anakin and Obi-Wan fight. Of course, I love that scene. Everyone loves that scene, but specifically just before the fight, after Padme collapses from the Force choke, Anakin just paces back and forth. Always got the sense like a lion protecting, like a kill or his property, just animalistic, very similar to how Darth Maul acts with the Force shield in Phantom Menace, actually. I know a common criticism is Hayden's acting in this film, but there's this one scene where I feel he brings like S plus game. It's this one scene here, and just the way he delivers it, I see Vader.
Obi-Wan was right. You've changed.
I don't want to hear any more about Obi-Wan. The Jedi turned against me. Don't you turn against me?
I still laugh at all the funny faces and lines that Ian McDiarmid pulls during this film. You can just tell he's having so much fun playing, like hamming up so much during this scene. The only thing that I would say annoys me about this film is more so to do with the common criticisms I hear from this film. And I'll focus on one at the moment that just annoys me, which is when people say there's too much of characters talking and not enough action. Like, this may shock you. That's called plot and story. This isn't the MCU where there's a awkward or oh that just happened every time something happens. There's a bit more nuance to this film than just stupid jokes. And that's why I like this film. It takes itself seriously. The sequel trilogy feels like it definitely leans into that Marvel humor a bit more, and I hate that that's becoming a like a medium now. Like no one wants more Marvel humor. Like it's fine when Marvel does it for the most part, but it just keeps getting worse and like more noticeable as the films go on. Like you compare Iron Man to like what's the most recent one? Thunderbolts. And I like Thunderbolts just for the record. There's just so much more like bickering and arguing just for the sake of oh that's what they liked in these films. It's just you don't get that here. You get story. And I appreciate that. I'll be honest, I think this movie's very overhated. And I know a lot of people say, oh, this is my least favorite of the trilogy. But like, I feel like this one is great. I think it's like, and I'm not just saying because it's the third in the trilogy. I think it's the Revenge of the Sith of the original trilogy. And anyone who ever says, "Oh, you can't act with a helmet on," I will give you this movie as the perfect example.
The Emperor will show you the true nature of the Force. He is your master now.
Then my father is truly dead.
Another thing I feel like gets overlooked a lot is I think this has the best lightsaber fight in all of Star Wars. Yeah, I know people will go, oh, but Anakin versus Obi-Wan, and that's amazing, don't get me wrong. But there's just something so visceral about Luke versus Vader. Him holding back so much, both parties really holding back so much. But there's that one shot of Luke hiding under the stairs, half of his face in the light, half of it in the dark, as Vader's like, come on, you little bitch, turn to the dark side, be cool. You're not being very, very cash money right now, Luke. He's like, no, I won't do it. He's like, alright, I'll go ask your sister then. He just pummels Vader to the ground. I feel like in that moment, Vader's gonna be like, that's my boy. And it's just so, like, in seeing him when he decapitates the hand, and he just sees all the wires sticking out, and like that waking him up slightly, and he looks at his own hand, realizing, I'm becoming my father. And it doesn't help that the Emperor's back there like, join me, take his place, do it, kill him. I don't know what that voice was. I could have just done the Emperor impression, but that was, no, I'm keeping that in the video. Screw it. And of course, there's that scene as Vader turns back to the light and saves his son, and he's dying, and he has one last request: to see his son with his own eyes. And God, this is such a powerful scene. There's this build-up of, like, very... what's the word? It's such a powerful theme. The Imperial March is playing, but it's so quiet and sorrowful, and like almost like cautious. It's used so effectively, and as that helmet comes off, you expect to see, like, what does Vader look like? We've only seen the back of his head. It's scarred to hell. And the most dangerous Sith Lord in the galaxy, and he looks like this sad, broken man. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. I give you proof that God does in fact still love us. Number 1, let's go! Woo! Let me just start off by saying this movie is exactly what a Star Wars movie should be. It's tense, it's got like a darker atmosphere than the first, and technically the third film. I know a lot of people will say, oh, dude, this is like the most liked Star Wars film for anyone, like, obviously this was going to be number 1. And I say, yes. And one of my favorite things about this movie is the bad guys win at the end. And I've always liked films where they lean into that, because it's a very bold move most of the time. And boy, do those rebels lose badly here. I have seen the argument a lot, in comparison with people calling Rey a Mary Sue. A lot of people say Luke is a Gary Stu in this. Like, he doesn't like lose. He learns things too quick, But like this movie, he's getting smacked around a lot. I don't know if we're all watching the same movie here. Like, he full on falls for the trap, and despite fighting as best as he can, he gets his goddamn hand cut off. And just look at him here. He is beaten, bruised. He is getting his ass whipped. And on that topic, Vader is at his coldest in this film. And that's one thing I absolutely love about Vader, is that he's hilarious. Now, I know I did say that I liked Return of the Jedi's lightsaber fight the most. I think the lightsaber fight in this film is the most important of the trilogy, and maybe all of Star Wars. I love that Luke's lightsaber is so quick to ignite, it mirrors Luke's, like his how headstrong he is, and how he's like going straight into a battle he is not prepared for. Whereas Vader's is just slow and threatening. I'm convinced he has a speed setting on that thing just to make it as dramatic as possible. Given, the context of Rogue One with his little force fluttering of his cape. I don't doubt it. It's canon in my mind. You can't change that. I love that Vader toys with Luke the entire fight. Like, you can tell the entire time he's just testing him to see, oh yeah, maybe you'll make a good apprentice. Like, Luke's giving his all, and he's just, this is just a Wednesday for Vader, you know? And I love that you see a lot of, like, Vader's tactics in this. Like, there's this one scene where Luke's going down a hallway, and he's listening for the breathing, but there is no breathing, because Vader's turned off his little breathing box. He's intentionally making himself suffer, so he can get the drop on Luke. And when did he do this in another film? Rogue One. When he's force holding that door closed for the rebels in the hallway. You know, Vader and hallways, that just seems to be a very, very common theme at the moment. Another point that I feel gets overlooked a lot is that Vader was never intended to be loyal to the Emperor. Like, we've only seen like a little hologram of him by this point, you know, back in the day, of course. And you can tell, oh, he's like, oh, what is thy bidding, my master? You know, he's loyal to his face, but he's looking actively to overthrow that guy. And I love that, you know? And honestly, every character in this film is awesome. Leia is amazing. Han is always a boss. Chewie's great. Even C-3PO this time around isn't too annoying, in my humble opinion. Everyone brought their A game, and I'm so thankful for that. And of course, you can't talk about Empire Strikes Back without mentioning my boy, my man. Yes, I fooled you. This is the real reason it's at number one. Yes, I fooled you. All the lies. It was all lies. It was only number one because of him. I'm joking, of course, but it does help put this one at number one. And putting all my fanboyisms aside of Boba Fett, I believe that his presence and character in this film makes it a better film, including the other bounty hunters too. It adds a slight air of desperation from the Empire, in my opinion. Like, they have to catch these guys, and they've resorted to hiring these grungy bounty hunters to hunt them down. I love that detail. Now, granted, there's not many Boba Fett scenes in this, but still, my favorite scene from him in this film is when he's got Han Solo in the carbonite, and he's got a stormtrooper escort. He's walking down a hallway. I know, hallways again. And Luke's around the corner, and he pulls out his holster, like a blaster out of his holster. And it's just the millisecond he does that, you see Boba Fett's head turn. And you're like, oh, okay, he knows. So he keeps walking, and you can tell, like, that's what sets off the whole firefight between him and Boba. It's because he knows that someone's there. Maybe he's got like a sound booster in his helmet. That sounds awesome, so I'm gonna go with that as the canon reason. But God, every scene with him in this is awesome. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, he doesn't do anything, man. He just stands there and looks cool. Yeah, he does. You know what else he does? He tracks down the Falcon. Yeah. Take that, nerds. Thank you so much for watching, my dudes. Feel free to browse my other videos if you feel like you enjoyed what you see. Maybe like and subscribe if you want to. I don't mind, you know, I just like doing this for fun. Feel free to comment on another topic you'd like me to cover. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep making videos that come to my mind. I'm thinking of doing a movie review of movies I consider to be like perfect 10 out of 10s. And, you know, I'm thinking, I hope the background gameplay video, specifically the armor that my guy's wearing here, is like a little hint towards what might be next. It's 2012's film Dread. But, you know, if you have any other ideas, please sound off in the comments. Until then, this is the T-Visor, signing off. And when I'm famous with 1 million subscribers, I'll add a cool outro and some sound effects, I swear. Until then, have a good one, and I'll catch you guys next time.